Ivan, welcome everybody for the Slim Experience Sharing Forum organized by the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing, the premier professional body for marketing in Sri Lanka. Today we got a wonderful personality who is going to share her experiences and her entrepreneurial journey, and we are going to get into a deep dive to understand a little bit more, to inspire ourselves, as well as to get some key learning points that we can include in our daily careers and entrepreneurial journey ourselves. A little bit of the Experience Sharing Forum. So the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing Experience Sharing Forum brings together marketing experts and entrepreneurs from across the country and often from overseas as well, giving them an important opportunity to share their learning and experiences with the professional members of the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing. This program is conducted several times a year and is a greatly anticipated event, being an invaluable resource event. Now, as we face an ongoing pandemic and during these unprecedented times, the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing ensures that you can still be part of their experience sharing forum in webinar mode via Microsoft Teams platform. So I have great privilege today in introducing our guest speaker, who is none other than Otara Gunewardene, a great entrepreneur who's actually achieved many things during her entrepreneurial journey. And being a female entrepreneur, I think she's broken the glass ceiling a number of times and set a new trend in the Sri Lankan economic landscape. So without further ado, Otara, welcome to today's Experience Sharing Forum. Privileged to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right. So I think first to start off, Otara, I would like to understand if you can give a little bit of background. How did this wonderful and amazing journey start?
Well, it's quite a long story, but I'll keep it a bit brief. So I think some may know that I'm actually a biologist. My degree is in biology. So I was a young girl who came back after my biology degree, and then I wanted to actually start. I wanted to do research with wildlife and live in the jungle and help wild animals with and do conservation projects, and that's what I really wanted to do. But at the last year of my university degree, I got interested in modeling. I was asked to model for a fashion show in Sri Lanka. And then I thought, okay, I quite like this, so I thought I'll continue doing that. So I modeled a bit more and did one or two shows in the States also. And then when I came back, I kind of half-heartedly looked for a job to do with conservation, but there really wasn't much on offer also. And I was involved. I got very involved in the fashion industry and modeling, and was doing that full time. And it was during that time that I thought that I still had this passion of wanting to help wildlife and animals and create awareness about the importance of protecting nature. And so this was, now it's like 30 years ago. So that's why I actually started. Then I got an offer from a really good friend who had a lot of factories at that time, and he wanted me to help him to clear some of his excess stocks. So I thought it's a good opportunity for me to try and do that, and then earn some extra money, both for me to live as well as to try and raise funds for a project that the wildlife department was doing at that time. And that's how it really started. And in the meantime, my father also had told me, it's fine, you're doing, you're modeling and doing what you love and all that, but think about doing a business and, starting something on your own also. And actually, so he's the one who he had actually already created the name Odell, which is Otara and Dell, which is my second name. And that was really how the name came about. And and he was always encouraging me to do something in business. So then I started selling these stocks, and then at the same time I was also printing T-shirts. I was doing like complimentary T-shirts, which I was selling to other companies in Sri Lanka. I supplied many companies at that time. I used to take the orders from them, get the T-shirts made, and then give it to them for them to distribute, to their to all their customers, or whatever promotion they wanted to do. And along with that, I printed I got the T-shirts designed for the elephant, monkey, porcupine, and crocodile, the black and white sketch T-shirts, and I got those made, and I started selling those as well to raise funds, and I did raise the funds, and I did give it to the wildlife department. I think it was around 50,000 or 100,000 or something at that time, which was quite a lot of money at that time, and really that was how it all kind of began. And then there was a company that my father had set up. I mean, basically he just registered it, and then I used to do, the work through that. And so, for a few years, I used to collect the stocks from the factories and get the T-shirts made and put them in my car, and then I would distribute it to other stores in Colombo, and wholesale, whoever wanted from outside Colombo. So I would supply and wholesale. So it was mostly wholesale and retail to my friends and family. And then, subsequently, one or two years later, is when I decided that maybe it's time for a small store. And then I started the very, very small place in Dickmans Road. Yes, and I set it up and painted it myself, and got some very basic shelves and things put inside, and that's how the first store started. And I was also doing sales at that time. Like, I would collect all the stocks and have like sales in sort of in Girl Guides and few locations like that, which was very, very popular. Lots of people used to come. And then eventually I started having the sales at Dickmans Road also. And, it became, that store became like a really popular store for people to visit and drop by and find new items all the time. They loved the collections that I had. So I also discovered that I had the skill to be able to pick and choose collections and create sort of a concept and a collection. Because even though I went to factories, and even though what I made at that time, especially the picking from factories, I wouldn't take everything that was available. I would only take things that I thought were that my customers would like. So I kept it. I used to basically edit what I bought and curate what I bought, and that was really the success of it, because people really loved the items that were available. And more people would come, and people from all over the world would. It was a very tiny place, but all the airline crews and tourists and expats who lived here, they would all come to the store. And that's really how it grew, and the sales kept going up and up every month, and then I kept expanding that store. And then eventually, I opened other stores in Majestic City and Liberty Plaza. And I think I had one in Mount Lavinia Hotel as well. And that's really how it began. And then I realized that there were other things I could offer the customer, and which we couldn't find here in Sri Lanka. Like some shoes and bags and other home items. And that was when I started starting to explore what was available outside Sri Lanka as well, that I could offer my customers. And I started visiting exhibitions internationally, buying shows, and product shows, and seeing what was available outside. And then I realized there's a whole lot of stuff that would interest people. And that's when I started looking for a bigger building. I thought there's an opportunity to have a very large a building with a lot of product. And I thought I could split it up into different sections and make it available to the customers. So that's when I put a very small ad, like that size, asking for a building in Colombo, and that was when Mr. Madanayaka responded, and he had just got his building back from, I think it was the STF at that time who had it, and it was in very, very bad condition, like terrible condition. So he was happy to give it to someone who would do it up for him and use it. And that's what I did. I revamped the whole building, and that was the first big hotel store.
Right, fantastic, Otara. I think it's also another great example where something that you're passionate about and you have a cause, and then that led to an entrepreneurial journey, something that you probably might have not thought about initially, but that probably fueled up where passion and commitment meets eye to eye. You brought up an interesting point, Otara, in terms of your father wanting you to get into business and probably set up a name for a company. I've seen many discussions going on online forums and social media by budding entrepreneurs and people who follow entrepreneurs that sometimes you need to be really lucky and you need to have a strong family background to be successful. Theoretically, that is not the case. I think hard work really pays off. But I want to understand from you, Otara, because there are a lot of entrepreneurs who come from great family backgrounds, who got a good support structure. What are some of the things that you learned by having two great brothers and a well-known father to support you? How did you actually manage that?
Um, well, by the time I came back and by the time I started, my parents also sort of started with very little, and they sort of worked very, very hard. I mean, I watched both my parents work extremely hard to be able to earn money and to be able to educate us and to give us the best opportunity of education where we wished to go to. And they would work many, many hours each day, multiple jobs. We used to have even things growing in our garden, which my mother used to sell to earn extra money, because it was also during the late 70s. I'm a lot younger than my brother, so they had to be educated first. So I would watch them, and I would help her actually to earn this extra money. With we had like chickens, and she was growing things, and different things like that. So I mean, I watched both of them work very hard, and at the same time I also watched my mother, who had about 2 years after I was born, she set up a school for special needs children, because that was her passion, and she wanted to help children with special needs live a normal life in society. So she also started with 2 or 3 children, and then eventually, I mean, we have today the Chitralin School, which has helped hundreds and thousands of special needs children over the years. So I was able to see that, and by the time I came, I was come to the time of me starting the business. My father was quite senior in Aitken Spence at the time, and my mother was fully devoted to her school, which was all completely on non-payment basis. It was complete charity for her. So so that's why, for some reason, my father had the idea that he wanted me to start a business. And they never, with any or all three of us, they never really told us like what to do, or what we should be doing, or what they never were very strong with that. They always let us sort of develop our own interests and to help us, to support us with whatever we wanted to do personally and we felt was right for us. And I think that's the same thing with all three of us. And of course, we had different sort of paths. So it was just that basically that he did, and then then he got me to speak to a bank, and then I spoke to somebody in a bank, and they gave me a very small loan to start. And then I mean that famous story is that with the Dickman's Road store, when I moved from my car to the store, I needed like about 30,000 rupees or whatever, or 40,000 rupees to actually paint it and buy the shelves and things. And that was when I borrowed the money from my mother and Ajit, actually. I borrowed the money from both of them, and I put the equal amount, which was I think 50, that's why it says $50, because we each put $50, which at that time was a very small amount of money. And that's how I started that. And then at that time we formed a company, and the three of us were the shareholders of that company, of the directors and the shareholders. And then basically I would just do my own thing. If I ever wanted to ask something, I could always ask them, but I mean, most of the time it was just me doing my own thing. Sometimes, if I had a big sale, my mother would come and help me at the till, because I couldn't hire a lot of people, and that's basically it. Sometimes by that time Ajit was also, I think, in John Keel's, or maybe he had just started, so if I needed some sort of advice on finance, because I was very quite weak in that area, I would ask him. But none of them were sort of involved on a day-to-day basis, or there to tell me what to do or not to do. It was as and when needed. If I needed some input, I could ask, or if it didn't have to be even them, I would ask even other people or other friends. It doesn't really mean that you need the family support, because there are a lot of people around who can help you and support you. You just have to be able to have the ability to identify different people who can give you the knowledge that you need at that particular time, for whatever it may be at that particular time. And that person may not be someone who's there giving you the advice all the time. It may be even one conversation, it may be even 4 conversations, so it'll vary like that. And that's really, how it was. And obviously, they are very successful in their own way in all what they have achieved. And of course later on, Ruchi became the chairman of the Odell Public Company, and so there was change.
Yeah, fantastic, Otara. I think for all of you all watching this live program, 2 key learnings from what Otara mentioned. Do your own thing as an entrepreneur. Yes, you can get the advice from others. Try to pick the brains of people who have knowledge, so that who can help your business. But at the same time, a very valuable point, and some of the, or most often than not, marketers are always accused of not having the financial skill set. So build your financial skill set is another key learning point, what Otara mentioned a little bit ago. I'm just going to go back into the first question a little bit. Otara, you came up with an interesting point that you curated the fabrics and the material in a manner so that you are quite close to the customer and you understand the customer need. Now, majority of the research globally has shown that one of the reasons for entrepreneurs to fail is that they are not close to the customer, or they've not identified the customer need well. So they've created a unique product, no doubt, but unfortunately their customer doesn't want to buy that product. What are some of the thoughts on that, Otara? How did you overcome this dilemma?
Yes, so that's the key, right? That's the key to the success of any business, is to be able to identify the customer, and to be able to be connected to your customer, both for me, from my heart, and from my vision and my mind, because that is really, the success of your business comes with how much you can, how the interest of customers and the people who you are selling your product to. So even even as an entrepreneur, it's really important to be successful and to have success in what you're doing. There has to be some difference to what you offer. There has to be something special and unique that stands out from the lots of stuff that's around you. And in the world today, that's even more. There's so much stuff, so many things available. So there is a lot of uniqueness that has to come, and that's why no matter who's in your life or who's in your family or who's around you, it's your uniqueness that's going to make that difference. And it's also very, very important to understand the market that you're in, the time that you're in, and the consumer of that time, and what they desire at that time and what's right for them at that time. There were also a lot of things that I could have sold that I know they would have bought, and I know I could have made a lot of money. But to me, it wasn't right for me with the concept or with the brand to sell those items. So I used to choose not to sell. So it's not a matter of also trying to put everything that you have that you think you can get make a buck on. And offer it to the customer, because then also the customer gets confused. The customer has to be very clear on what you stand for, what your concept is, and what you offer. So for me, it was very important to have a beautiful atmosphere, to have beautiful style, very current fashion, constantly new things, always rotating with new things that many customers would come every single day, because they knew if they didn't come today, that would be gone, and then they'll miss it, and then there'll be something else new tomorrow. So very often there was a big segment that would just drop in every day to see what's new. And also things that were very unique. So it was important for me to be able to pick that way and to choose the collections and to choose the way it's presented, and to see that it relates to the way it's presented and the concept in which I wanted to offer the customers. So that's the concept and idea that an entrepreneur would have, and somebody who's creating a business and starting a business would have in them, that they wish to present to a customer. And it's really important to stick to that concept and to always be true to the brand and always be true to the values of the brand, no matter what you may be able to earn from other things that are not true to the brand. And I think that's really important to build a very strong brand and to build a very top of mind brand, and to be consistently popular over the years, and to be able to adapt and change over the years as well.
Fantastic. I think there are a lot of people still joining us at today's live session on where we talk about the journey of an entrepreneur, a deep dive. So let's dive a little bit more deep, Otara. Let's look at maybe the first 10 years or 15 years of your journey. I think it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride as well, just like for any entrepreneur. But maybe during the first decade of your journey, what would have been the top 3 learnings that you would have learned, possibly the hard way?
So at the first 10 years was also during the war in Sri Lanka, so there was a lot of up and down at that time, and a lot of days were unpredictable and a lot of things happening. Sometimes you wouldn't know what the next day brought you. So it was riding through that as well, and growing the business during that time. And for the business kept growing each year rapidly. I don't know. There was, of course, a lot that I learned along the way. I had to do, as much as the business was new and growing, I also had to grow. I also had to learn and grow because I was a very young girl who didn't have any education in anything to do with business or marketing or finance. I knew a lot about animals and a lot about the environment. So, and then I didn't know much about fashion other than wearing the clothes that the designers gave me. So, it was a lot of things that I had to learn as well, and I had to be open to learning. And I wanted to, and I still have that today, where I'm open to listening and open to learning and open to changing because we should never have the mentality of thinking that we know everything and that we are 100% right all the time, and there's my way or the highway kind of attitude. It doesn't really help in any way. So one of the most challenging things for me, I don't know, the marketing part came naturally. I knew what to do. I knew how to create great visual, simple and strong messages. All the HR part and all that was not too difficult to learn. But the part that was very challenging to me was the finance part. So I used to look at the balance sheets and things, and I really couldn't understand much of what I saw in the numbers. So that was that was something I really had to focus on and learn, because it's important to understand the numbers of your business. And so I actually took a course in that. There's a really a good person who came and taught me privately on that for a couple of months. So I got a lot better after that, and also I would learn from the people. I would obviously hire people who had the skill and the talent, and I would also always ask them and learn from them as well. So that way as well, you can learn as you are growing the business. So that was quite an experience and challenging. And the more you know the numbers, the easier it gets to be able to grow the business and to understand the business and to be able to identify the gaps of where you need to improve, what you need to change. And the second one was probably to do with inventory control, because in this business, especially in the fashion business, especially, having a quick turn of stock is absolutely critical. Because in the fashion in fashion, you have people want new things all the time, and you need to be able to clear your stock within a period. Different items have different time periods of different age limits of how long you should keep it ideally. So very fashion and trendy clothing should not be there for more than 1 or 2 months. Some other items not more than 2-3 months, not like that. So you can categorize which the time periods for each range of items, and your stock turn needs to be really, really fast. And in that sense, you have to buy very skilled as well to be able to shift the stock fast, and you have to be able to calculate the stock turns of the inventory you have, and then how much you can sell. And there are inventory stock turn figures that ideally you should target, because the more you keep your stock in this fashion business, the worse it is for the business. And because the stock, it basically becomes dead stock, and it becomes of zero value really. So to say something like this, if it hasn't sold in 6-7 months, I mean, basically, even if I bought it at 5,000, it's only worth whatever 300 rupees or something, later on. So it was really important to do that, and I would love to buy things and offer my customers. And sometimes, obviously the items would, the majority sold well, but then there are items that don't sell well as well. So you need to be able to identify that very fast and to be able to clear it fast. And there are inventory levels that you should maintain for the sales that you have, so that the business does not get stressed and does not go through sort of cash flow issues, because when you have a big stock that doesn't bring you cash, you eventually get into cash flow issues, and you have to keep borrowing more, and then it stresses the business and makes it not so successful.
I'm just going to hold your thought there, Otara. It's an important point. Now, amidst all those challenges, you also need to decide when and how to scale the business. Now, cash flow issues are there, inventory management is there, coming out with differentiated marketing is important. Amidst that, what are some of the things that you did to decide first, it's the right time to scale the business? And secondly, how did you mitigate the risks associated with scaling the business?
Yeah, so it's also to do with that. Like, so when you have also when you are able to look at the numbers and you're able to analyze the stock turns and the speed of which things are turning and how each store is doing, you can really also understand how you need to scale the business and the opportunities that are there. To be able to grow the business. So what I was trying to get at earlier is also it's important. I wasn't always in the early days, I wasn't always as successful at inventory management, and that was something I had to learn and be very skilled at. And actually, there were people who came and taught us as well how to do it, and that leaves you more money to be able to grow the business and to scale the business as well. So yeah, I think there was a time when I had the main store and then maybe 3-4 other stores, maybe 4 other stores, and it also became for me, it was also difficult to offer the customer a lot of items because of the minimum quantities that a lot of manufacturers wanted. And it came to at some point it came to a point where I had to move away from stock lots because obviously that method of business was ending. And the systems had also changed in Sri Lanka on the manufacturing side in the garment industry where there was not a lot of stocks available. And also, obviously, to make a business successful, you needed to have your own inventory and not depend on leftovers. So at that time, we realized that it was very difficult to buy certain things because of the volume. And that was the time I realized that also it's probably better, and there was opportunity by that time. Things had developed in Sri Lanka, and there were opportunities to open stores in other areas also. And that was when we decided to open another, 8 or 10 stores. And that was also the time of the public IPO that we decided to take the company public, which was the first fashion retail company to go public and the first female to take a company public. Yeah, so that's why the funds were raised, and that's what the funds were for. And I think we opened 10 or 12 stores at that time, and that also gave the ability to buy items in bigger volumes and to offer more product to the customer. So you have to look for the timing of when you think you can make the expansion. It's not always the right time to do that. And also, the consumers have to be ready. The country situation has to be right, and obviously it will vary, depending on the year and the type of your business also. But there's always opportunity to grow.
Right. So there is one school of thought, Otara, that most entrepreneurs find it difficult to let go. But on the other hand, when you when you look back in life, majority of the entrepreneurs have been able to successfully exit their business and start off something new. You're one of them. Was it difficult to let go?
I wouldn't say no. It was, and for one thing, I never thought I'd do it. For one thing, because it was my life. It was it was virtually my whole day-to-day life, my family life and model life, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. But then I also turned 50, and I thought it's time. And then at that time we had also planned a big expansion. The building that's being done now, but of course it was not to this scale. It was a bit smaller, and I thought if I stayed on, obviously it would be for me another 10 years or so, because I couldn't start something large and then exit, we tend to get very very attached to things, and as much as we are very emotionally involved, especially as an entrepreneur, to what you build and what you create, you also need to remember to have some form of detachment to the business, or to know that you don't need to be attached to something you've created. and built up. And we had also kind of built the company up so that it can be in a situation where someone else can buy it or someone else can take over. And that's really important to do for the company. Even if you don't have any intention to sell it, it's important to build a company where it can stand on its own, one day. And I think that's part of a successful business is not to be totally attached. I mean, it was. I was a face of it. I was very engraved in it and in the whole web of it. But as we know, I could get out of it also. So it's important to build a business that way, and to also know that it is a business. It is not my child. It's not my son that that I would cut off one day. So it is. And just look at it that way, and there is a time for everything, and there is a time. In your life for everything. There is a time in the business for everything, and it was a good time, I thought, for me to do it, and both personally and business-wise. And so when I did let go, I was completely fine with it.
Great, fantastic. Now, for the benefit of most of the marketers who are joining the forum, I think I'm trying to now look into their bread and butter. As you know, Otara, the traditional retail is moving away fastly. The business model is getting challenged and often disrupted, and we see the power of digital marketing. In your opinion, having run originally a brick and mortar business, then creating a successful traditional shopping experience or customer experience, to now the power of digital and e-commerce, where do you think the market is moving? What are some of the things that you feel will be the real game changers, so that the marketers who are listening to this program can start going back into their marketing playbook and make some changes?
Yes, there's been great change happening in the last several years, even before the pandemic. Actually, these changes were happening. A lot of department stores globally were under pressure. A lot of brands were under pressure because the whole landscape of the consumer, and also everyone, a majority becoming more eco-conscious, the way the consumers want to shop, how familiar they are of shopping online, how easy it is. So a lot of those things were starting to change, and the consumers were starting to change also. And of course, the pandemic has only helped to speed that up immensely. And I think there will be great change in the years ahead of how we shop, what we buy, and also the opportunities that come up for new ways of doing things is really big, actually, at this time. If you can identify it, if you can see it. And I'm someone who grew up with brick and mortar, and I love it. I just love the actual stores. I still love to be able to go to a store and to actually touch and feel. But even I have changed as a consumer. Even I go less now. Even I am more online now. And I've started a new brand as well, Who We Are, and that is also only online. It was quite a mindset change for me to be only online. But things are changing very, very rapidly. And I think it's time, people need to be able to see that and see what's happening globally. Some of the brands and stores that I used to look up to, and I used to follow, and I used to love, globally. Quite a few of them are no longer there, and they were very, very big, successful brands because they were not able to adapt fast enough to the change that's happening. And even though it may be not very visible sometimes, especially in Sri Lanka, it is happening. I mean, it is a big change happening. So I think it's important to be connected to what's happening globally and to the consumer of today, the way of life of people today, and really the interests and the passions of how people want to, to live and be a part of society. So I think it's important to understand that, because otherwise, you will get stagnated, and you will, I think you will lose, good opportunities that are there. And yeah, and I think it is a time of great struggle for brick and mortar stores globally, and I think it's a time to really to relook at the concepts that are there and what you have, and to be able to rework it.
Great. So to build a successful enterprise, Otara, I'm sure you'll agree that people play a very important role. I believe in your business also, from the time of recruitment, training, and in the overall customer journey, people play a very important role. So during your entire journey, today we are talking about a deep dive into your journey. What are some of the things that you did in terms of ensuring that your team is highly motivated, are driven by one purpose, and more importantly, they can satisfy the customer requirements, because there's a huge brand that you've created, and that brand is exemplified through people. So, what are some of the things that you have done for the benefit of the audience?
Yeah, so it's, I can be leading it, but I'm just the one person. There's only very little I can do myself. And obviously you need a very, very good and a very passionate team who actually believe and love in the brand, and who love what they're doing, and who are as passionate as I am, with what they're doing. And I think I had that team, and they were very, very dedicated, and it became a place where people wanted to come into work. People loved to work. They were taken care of. They were valued, and they were given, their skills were improved. That's the main thing. And we would have even English classes, and retail training classes, and like even at a time when they left, obviously nobody stays forever, but even people's journeys change, and even at a time they left, they could always go and get a better opportunity, because they were there, because of the experience that they had, and because of the name they were linked with. And even today, I have so many people who contact me and say, like, thank you for helping us. Our life has been so much better. We have a wonderful job in the Middle East or Europe or somewhere. So that is really important, to be able to uplift their lives, and to make them better, and to give them a set of skills that they can use in their future life, because then they stay engaged, and they stay passionate, and they stay dedicated to the company and the brand that they are a part of, and they are the face of the of the brand, of the stores. They are the ones meeting the customers. They are the people who who give that message and vibe and energy to the customers. So it's really important to keep to keep them happy, and it's not just money that makes them happy. We're just saying, I'm going to increase your salary and just give you another bigger commission or whatever. It's not just that. People will just, if they don't have that inner passion and an inner connection from their heart to the place they are at, and to the brand and the concept, it still doesn't come out as well as as well as just about the money. So it's really important to look at their to see that they are happy in the workplace, and they're recognized, and they are valued, and that even when they move on, they are a lot better than when they came, in skill and in knowledge and in wisdom, and they can take that experience elsewhere. And then I think you have a very dedicated and a very passionate team who are able to help you to grow your business.
Fantastic. Otara, I think you've been a great inspiration to many female entrepreneurs, or entrepreneurs as a whole. And 3 decades ago, or little over that, when you set up a business, I'm sure there would have been phenomenal challenges as a young female entrepreneur getting into somewhat of a cutthroat type of an environment as well. But now I believe there are many opportunities. Diversity is now becoming more and more valued. With the advent of technology, you can set up a business even from your home. You don't have to go through the whole 9 yards of traditional way of setting up business. What would be some of the tips or advice you can give budding or aspirational female entrepreneurs who want to start off small and pursue their entrepreneurial dreams?
Um, well, TR today is very different, of course, to before. One of the greatest new forms of communication, of course, and being visible is social media, and you have everything from YouTube to social media to everything that's digital, which takes whatever you're doing even internationally, in a week, if you have the right thing or you get that right click, you can be even global in a couple of weeks. So that is those are the opportunities that were there. We had to print sort of papers and go house to house and distribute it and get people to carry leaflets when they go overseas and spread the word in those countries. And I mean, those are the things that I had to do. So in that sense, you have a lot more sort of opportunity now and ability to really reach a larger audience much easier. But of course, as always, you need to be relevant to the times. You need to be relevant to your customer, and you need to know what your concept is and to stick by that concept. That concept also has to be relevant to this time. And it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work, a lot of dedication, passion, and most of all, to love what you do. You really need to enjoy what you do and to love what you do. I think that's the most important thing, because if you don't love what you do, then it all becomes very mediocre, and you're distracted, and so you really need to live the business or the journey, and to be able to enjoy it, and and to be able to be creative and passionate, and also use your heart. It's not all about your brain and your head. Your heart tells you a lot of things. Your intuition tells you a lot of things. And if just follow that, and no matter what anyone else says around you, you can of course get advice, and you can learn a lot, and you can use some of the input that's around you, but it's only you that knows the direction to go and what to do for your brand, for your business. So I think if you have the interest to start something, I think you should always do it. You should always try it out. If you have a passion to do something, you should always try it out. During this time of the pandemic, with the new brand who we are, there are a lot of people who are now on it, who actually lost their job, like that, where they were for 10 years or 15 years, and they have sort of discovered like this whole new sort of amazing creativity and skill that they have, and they're so happy now, like with this whole new thing they're doing with making new products and creating food items, and it's quite amazing to see. So there are things. I mean, we have amazing talents within ourselves, but sometimes we get we just conform to what we're told that we need to do. So find your true passion, find your real love of what you want to do, and how you want to make a difference. Whatever you do needs to make a difference in the lives of others for the better.
Great advice, Otara. I think this is going to help any entrepreneur, either who has an ongoing business venture or the aspiring entrepreneurs, irrespective of their gender. Today, I believe the Experience Sharing Forum is well attended. And I think just like anything that the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing does, it's another grand success. They brought in one of the best in the industry, if not in the globe, to share some lessons for you all to understand and take note of in your overall entrepreneurial journey as well. Otara, I think we can go on for the entire day. I think I'm personally learning a lot, but for the benefit of these wonderful participants who have joined in numbers today, probably quickly take one or two more questions before we conclude. So one of the things that I wanted to know was, during your entrepreneurial journey, Was there ever a moment that you felt that enough is enough, I can't take this anymore?
Yeah, I'm sure there was. Not I'm sure there was, I know there was. I think it's to do with, I don't think it's just to do with business. I think it's to do with life in general. There are many things in your life that sometimes you think, okay, now enough is enough. I need to make a change. It is actually moments like that that brought to me to take the company public, to sell, a certain percentage of the company to parks and retail in Malaysia. It is moments kind of like that where you are in a situation where you think, okay, it's enough. Like I either have to do this or I have to think of some other way, to find an investor or to make some change. So usually it's moments like that that bring the great change, and it should not be something that you fear. It should be something that you look at, sort of positively and try to find the answer and the solution for. And then of course my final letting go was also probably saying enough is enough, but in a good way. Enough is enough for that chapter of my life, and now I have to move on to another. I think that those moments come, and even in our personal lives, those moments come with in relationships and different things. I think that's something we need to embrace and not fear, and to be okay with change. It's very difficult for to accept change in our lives, and that is a human trait. So we need to be open to that, because change brings a lot of great new things into your life. So rather than clinging on and hanging on in great fear to things that are not really working. So don't fear it, embrace it, and accept change for the good.
Yeah, so my final question, Otara, and I think I'm just going to put in a little bit of a spot of bother here. Just like you created a wonderful brand, Odell, let's assume we look at Sri Lanka as a brand, and we got world-class people here who can definitely be game changers and who can be really successful in a global platform. You have been there, done that. Now, if you take Sri Lanka as a brand, what are some of your thoughts in which Sri Lankans who are part of this brand can do to make Sri Lanka the next growth narrative? What are some of the things, either from our mindset or from our actions, that we are not doing right to strengthen this brand and go to the global level? I know it's a bit of a loaded question, but I would like some of your thoughts, because collectively, the future narrative of Sri Lanka will depend on how we all take this brand forward. What are some of your concluding thoughts, Otara?
It's a long answer, actually. Honestly, I think everyone would agree that I think Sri Lanka has just so much magic that we can offer the world, and there's so much that of good that we can show the world. But unfortunately, I don't think we're even 10% there yet. And I think it's only very, very brands-wise, it's only very few, of course, who are international and who have offered the world the good of Sri Lanka. And there's much more opportunity, for that. In other areas as well. I mean, there's so much more we can offer in our traditions, in our way of life, in our way of what we've had in our past that is of great value internationally. There are people who use a lot of what we have for their benefits, from our old types of foods and the way we've superfoods, and a lot of them are what we've had, in Sri Lanka for years, and we don't really value it here so much. And I think it's really important to be, as a collective, we have to change our mindset. We have to be we have to be more compassionate, we have to be more loving, we have to be more caring. And that I mean to our environment, to our animals, to our people. You can't take something good out if we are struggling within ourselves to sort of have that love and compassion amongst all of us. There's too much friction, there's too much disconnection with what's of great value in this country, which is our environment, which is the talents of our people, the skills and the passions of our people, and the animals that live here. And I think we have to change that, and that is how we can lead the change internationally to show how you can connect with living in a country like ours that has all those amazing things, and to show that this is how you need to live, and these are the amazing things we can offer the world. And I think it's very unfortunate that it's not happening, and we also have to be very connected to what's happening globally. Often we offer things that are not really what's on top of mind for people, that's happening globally, and as a result, it never gets connected, it never gets picked up, it never gets gets much interest, and it is important, it is important and that's why I talk about it all the time with animals as well. It is important to show the connection and the love and the importance that we can care for our environment, we can care for our animals, we do care for our people, and I think I think there's a lot of change that has to happen there to give people skills, equal opportunities. The majority of people don't have equal opportunity to be able to reach their dreams, to be able to even come close to their dreams. And I think those sort of things, they have to be given that opportunity to be able to, anyone should be able to do what I have done. But there are a lot of people, there are a lot of women who can't do that. So, I think there's a lot of change that has to happen. And, I hope we will see that happening in the years ahead. And together we should all unite to make that difference.
Thank you very much, Otara. It's sincerely been an absolute pleasure to have you today at the Experience Sharing Forum organized by Sri Lanka's national body for marketing, which is the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing. Today we talked about the journey of an entrepreneur, a deep dive to the brand Otara, if I may sum it up. And for the benefit of the large numbers of people who have joined us live today, let me try to take a humble effort to summarize what Otara mentioned. I think we talked about for a good 1 hour today. So she talked about the importance of being close to the customer, being different, following your passion, the importance of training and developing your staff to follow that passion so that they have the commitment to deliver a great customer experience, improve on your financial literacy. You need to understand how to manage your operations well and learn from it. Be willing to let go, even though it might be difficult. Don't be afraid to try things if you are really passionate about it. Try to learn from everybody available surrounding you. It doesn't necessarily need to be your close-knit social structure, but it can be expanded. And last but not the least, try to ensure that you get your inner power in a manner that you are willing to change, adapt, and embrace what's happening around the world. So it's been a fantastic session. I'm sure you will also appreciate it. I thank you very much, Otara, for spending your time today, accepting the invitation of the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing. I will be failing my duty if I do not thank a few people who have made this happen. Just like you were the first female to take a Sri Lankan company on an IPO. The Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing has the privilege of having the first female president. So basically, thank you very much, Sri Lanka Abhivardhana and the entire executive committee of the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing for continuously driving this experience sharing forum and for all the wonderful work that you do for the marketing fraternity. The CEO and the membership team, I know, who have worked tirelessly to make things happen. The Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing is one of the most vibrant entities, and one of the reasons for that is because of the dynamic leadership. Last but not the least, to Chamil Vikramasinghe and the entire marketing team as well as the technology team who made this happen. Last but not the least, thank you very much for everybody who joined today. I'm sure you would have learned a lot by listening to Otara, and that will definitely shape your careers and your entrepreneurial journey. And I would humbly request you all to go and tell your friends, your colleagues to join the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing. Being a member myself, I know the benefits of being part of that, and you can have wide access to resources and knowledge and networking being part of that. And thank you very much for the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing for inviting me, giving me opportunity to be today's host, talking to the wonderful and omnipresent Otara today, and spend a wonderful 1 hour. Thank you very much. And this is Nirmal signing off. Stay safe. And as I always conclude in most of the sessions, Sri Lanka can, Sri Lanka must, and Sri Lanka should. Thank you very much for joining today.